This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. Who doesn't love a chocolate chip cookie? Turns out the chocolate chip cookie is a very American story. It was created in the 1930s by a Massachusetts woman named Ruth Wakefield. Its popularity took off during World War II, and since then it has become a staple of cookie cuisine. And while the classic chocolate chip cookie is a thing of beauty, it does lend itself to adaptation. Journalist, baker, and podcast host Marissa Rothkopf-Bates offers dozens of recipes in her cookbook, The Secret Life of Chocolate Chip Cookies. For example, if you've never thought to try a chocolate chip cookie made with rye flour, this conversation might change your mind. Earlier this year, Marissa joined me to discuss her book, and I started by asking her more about Ruth Wakefield, the creator of the chocolate chip cookie.
She was the owner of the Toll House Inn in Whitman, Massachusetts. She and her husband ran it, started in 1931, and they served delicious New England-style meals, broiled lobster, brown bread pudding, all those sorts of traditional things, boiled dinners. But it became extremely popular with people. You know, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald would, on their way to the Cape Cod, would stop there and have a lovely meal. And she was always looking for new things to serve her guests. And one of the things they served very traditionally was a scoop of ice cream with a few cookies on the side. And she was like, I want to do something different. And there are so many myths about where the chocolate chip cookie came from. Everybody thinks, oh, well, I think she ran out of cocoa and wanted a chocolate cookie. So she chunked up chocolate and she thought it would melt, but it didn't. Well, the truth is much more prosaic than that, because she was a home economist, as most women who had some interest in science or further degrees at the time was. She knew exactly what she was doing. She just was looking to kind of zhuzh up her butter drop dew cookie. And so she chunked it up. It took off pretty quickly. She was invited onto the Betty Crocker Cooking School of the Air, which, if they're going to bring back a radio program,
That's the one?
that's the one for me.
Okay.
I want to be the Betty Crocker Radio Cooking School of the Air. And she went on, and that was a hit. It appeared in one of the Boston newspapers, the recipe, as part of an ad for her cookbook. And people went, ooh, this is nice. And people at Nestle saw this huge spike in chocolate chips and chocolate chip sales in the Northeast, and were like, what's going on? And someone did their research, figured it out, went, oh, it's all coming from this one lady. And so they said to her, hey, Ruth, honey, or probably Mrs. Wakefield. Hey, Mrs. Wakefield, we're so interested in your cookies. They're delicious. What can we do to get your recipe? And she's like, I don't know, make me like a consultant. And as the story goes, give me $1.
Oh.
And everyone's like, feels bad for her. But Mrs. Wakefield was a smart cookie.
Go ahead.
I did it.
Get it
Sorry,
out
I'm
there.
sorry. I had to say it. Forgive me. Anyway, she was smart, a really smart, savvy woman. And what happened? Her inn got free marketing in perpetuity. Yeah. And she ensured that the chocolate bars, got chunked up. So she made it easier for us. So her restaurant, which had 7 tables in 1931, by 1946, she was serving thousands of people a day.
Oh. It's interesting when you look at your book, because there are 60 different recipes in it. But the chocolate chip cookie is the quote ideal cookie. Why mess with it?
There are a lot of people out there, I think exactly like you, and I think like that sometime too. I broke the book up into different textures, so everybody also has an opinion about, they must be soft. No, they must be crunchy. No, like the Tate's cookie, very thin. And then there are the people like me, and maybe I don't know who else, but want a crunchewy cookie, which is
right here,
right there. And
right.
I think you could try one.
All right. Well, keep talking on.
You eat, I'll talk. They're crispy on the outside.
Yes,
and
they are.
From there go chewy into yielding and soft in the middle.
All right. Let's see. Okay.
I heard that. I
You heard that?
It. Yeah.
Okay. So on the outside,
Big shards of chocolate.
these are beautiful. I'll say that. They're delicious. You have 7 most important things for a successful cookie baking. I want to talk about 2 of them. The first of all, you said you have to have a shiny aluminum pan as opposed to a dark pan.
Right. I think a lot of us fall into we just are using this old pan that we have in the drawer, wherever you keep your pans. I keep one pan just for like roasting vegetables and doing...
I pushed the microphone over there so I can finish eating the cookie.
Wait till you get to the the cardamom pistachio ones because they're really crunchy. A silver pan reflects heat, so you're much less likely to burn the bottom of your cookie. So save the dark pans for something else and treat yourself to some new, fresh silver pans.
Let's talk about the temperature of butter. Why does room temperature matter?
Room temperature matters if you want to get a fluffy cookie, a tender, fluffy cookie. In my book, I have 2 different types of butter, right? One is melted butter, which gives you a chewy cookie. I brown the butter usually, like the one you're eating now is a brown butter cookie, which boosts the caramel flavor and the chewiness because the water evaporates. But the reason you want room temperature butter, and more importantly, can I step back a second and say how you know it's room temperature?
Yeah, please.
Because I think a lot of us, like I live in a house that's like the temperature of the Arctic North. So to get room temperature butter, it really takes some work. Butter should be the temperature of like 65 to 67 degrees. You should be able to touch it with your finger, and it should leave a small indent. If your finger goes smoosh through it, it's too soft.
All right.
And what's going to happen? You want it to have some solidity so that the sugar can carve its way. When you're beating it to be light and fluffy, it can carve little holes in it, and the little holes then get filled with baking soda gases, in other words, carbon dioxide, to make it fluffy.
I love the chemistry of cooking, of baking.
And
it's so interesting
I
to
do
me.
want to give a shout out to my chemistry teacher in high school who thought I was a loser. Sorry. But
Let's talk about butter. Can you microwave your butter?
If it's for a melted butter recipe, by all means do, but not to soften your butter, because it's just going to go too far. We just know it is. It's going to keep melting, and you don't want it to do that.
We've got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
This is Hani, I think, calling. Hi, Hani. She's calling from Riverdale. They're calling from Riverdale. What's your question?
Yeah, hi. I'm wondering if a chocolate chunk cookie counts as a chocolate chip cookie. Is there a difference?
Absolutely. I think the cookie that Allison is eating right now has what I would call actually like a chocolate seam through it of just chunks of chocolate bar.
Yes, I would agree.
Like for me, a liquid pool of chocolate in a cookie makes a great chocolate chip cookie. But there's a time and a place for chips too.
You have a recipe in here for ginger and rye chocolate chip cookies. You are baking with rye flour?
I sure am. It's so delicious. It makes for kind of nutty. It takes away some of the sweetness of the cookie, and it creates a different texture as well because it's just so different from bread flour, regular all-purpose bread flour.
This says, I love flat, crispy cookies. What's the secret? That's Scott.
Okay, Scott, the secret.
Scott on the golf course is what it says.
Scott on the golf course. Scott is leaving the golf course to go home, and I hope bake cookies. I have a slew of recipes for thin, crispy chocolate chip cookies. The key to me is also making them sort of caramelized on the bottom. I tend to use brown butter, melted butter, and more brown sugar. I actually tend to use more white sugar than brown sugar to make them thin.
Okay.
And just a little bit less flour, but it's all kind of a bit of a ratio. Not that anyone should be afraid of it. Just read a recipe and it'll happen.
Well, that brings me to another one of your cookies that you brought in. This says cookie brittle.
Yes.
Explain this to me a little bit.
That cookie brittle is it is a recipe without even eggs in it. It is basically just sugar, a little more sugar, heavier on the white sugar than the brown sugar.
Okay.
So you get a crispier cookie, not a chewier cookie. And go eat it.
Wait. Oh, I understand why it's called a brittle.
It's a brittle because it's really crunchy. It has a buttery quality to it, a little caramel, and a little sea salt as well, and teeny tiny chocolate chips.
They are the teeniest, tiniest chocolate chips. This says refrigeration. You just mentioned putting the dough in the fridge to improve the cookies, but for how long?
As long as you can stand it. I would actually say 8 hours is a minimum. Overnight is, which I would call overnight, 8 hours.
Let's talk to Pam calling in from Highland Park, New Jersey. Hi, Pam. Thanks for calling. All of it.
Oh, hi. At the grocery store, in that wonderful bright yellow package of the traditional Toll House cookies, I think it now says morsels and doesn't mention chocolate. And I wondered if chocolate is actually still part of the ingredient or if it's been mixed in some funny way.
A few of the chocolate companies out there have amended their chocolate recipes. I know that Hershey's has gotten into not trouble, but they've changed the recipe that it's Mr. Reese got very upset. Where they have more milk solids, they have chocolate flavor. I would do a good job of checking the back of packages to make sure that it's as little extra as possible. This is not a plug, but I was reading the back of my package of Ghirardelli chocolate chips yesterday, and it's just all the things that you want in chocolate chips, including the one ingredient you might go, ugh, which is soy lecithin, and it just helps it hold its shape.
Let's talk to Amy, who's calling in from Brooklyn. Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for calling. All of it.
Oh, hi. This is so exciting. So you touched a little bit on refrigerating dough, but I wanted to know your thoughts about freezing dough. Because to be honest, that's my little trick. If I make the dough into balls and then put them in the freezer, I feel like it changes the texture totally. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
My thoughts are that's exactly, just like I like to have as many books as possible in my house, I like to know that I have frozen chocolate chip cookie balls in my freezer so that anytime, day or night, if we need one, if there's an emergency that calls for chocolate chip cookies, we can have them. The one extra trick is refrigerate your dough. Let it do its hydration in the refrigerator for 8 hours or so before you roll it into balls, and then you get all the benefits of that hydration, and then you have frozen the best of the best in your freezer.
Let's talk to Susan from Jersey City. Hi, Susan. Thank you for taking the time to call All of It. You are on the air with Marissa.
I wonder if this is kind of a unique question, but when baking cookies using infused butter, the process of infusing the butter decreases the volume of what's left. Not quite sure what that liquid is that gets poured out, but what to do with it? Compensate by adding a little bit more butter?
So when you're saying infused butter, that you're basically melting butter to create some sort of flavor profile?
You're melting the butter together with the herbs or whatever you're putting in there slowly in a warm bath.
Sure. So
in a sealed jar in a warm bath. And that basically, you don't get as much butter out as you put in.
Right, because the when it boils or when it bubbles, you're losing moisture, right? You're losing water. And so what you're getting is a much more dense product. So that's why I tend to use butter like that in cookies to make them chewy, because there's less butter in there. But if you're using it for a different kind of recipe, say for, I don't know, whatever you're using it for, I wouldn't add more butter in. I would sort of stick with the great infused butter that you have.
You might have to do a little bit of convincing on our next caller.
Okay.
This is Natasha calling from Westchester. Hi, Natasha. Thanks for calling. This is a no judgment zone, but there may be some commentary. Go ahead.
I'm not sure what to make of it, but I love a chocolate chip cookie, but I find the chocolate chips distracting.
It might make you feel better to know that my daughter feels the same way. My very own flesh and blood feels that the better cookie has fewer chocolate chips in it. And there's nothing, what's wrong with just making a really nice caramelly cookie? Nothing. I don't judge you.
That was my conversation with Marissa Rothkopf Bates about her cookbook, The Secret Life of Chocolate Chip Cookies. And that is all of it for today. I'm Allison Stewart. I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you. I'll meet you back here next time.